You might see a little less of me because I'm going to take some sporadic breaks as I have the last few days from um, posting because I'm integrating a lot of things. I told you I had to deal with some things today. Here's what I had to deal with today, all right? Let's get real, let's get raw, let's get vulnerable. I want to show you guys Sebastian Green is still very much here dealing with the human experience right alongside you guys. I know that it's easy to see people on a screen and put them on a pedestal. And yes, I may have done a lot of things that people aspire to do, but things are not all rainbows and sunshine and butterflies. I make it that because I choose to live in heaven on earth and not hell. So it's all in our perspective. I'm finishing out these cycles, though. It's all part of the process. And they need to be closed out to make room for the new experiences. Small amount of backstory. I'm going to tell all of my story, really and truly. I'm also going to write at least a book. I'm thinking several over my life, but so just a small amount of backstory. I did 3 years in different juvenile detention centers, including a juvenile prison and a really abusive Christian boot camp before I was even 18 years old. And I joined the military at 17 to escape all that. I never committed a crime during all of this. I did get one charge at 16, an escape charge, because I got picked up. I was a runaway. There was no home for me to be at. I wasn't gonna live in the toxic environment at home, so I just survived the way that I could. And so I got picked up though, and I ran. They put me in handcuffs and took me to the police station, and I ran and got away and ended up getting an escape charge for that. So I did get a charge. All of this left a really bad taste in my mouth for the system and the lack of freedom and just the incarceration and being in that system kind of thing. Like it's not what people think it is. It's a joke. It's nasty. We need reformation, I'll tell you that. For the children coming up, we need better places for these children that don't have good homes to go to. We need that in this world, and I'm going to make that happen. If any of you want to help me with that, that would be fucking wonderful, but I'll do it by my damn self if that's what I gotta do. But these children with toxic homes need a safe place to become good human beings and to learn about all of these, the mindfulness and meditation and emotional safety and stability and regulation. In the year 2021, I believe it was, I was not doing too great in my life. I was really struggling. I was in the hardest part of my really toxic, abusive marriage, and I was working really long hours, 40 to well over 100 hours a week. It was never 40, it was way more than, I meant 80 to over 100 hours a week easily. And I ended up on drugs because of this. I ended up on meth during this time, and I never used it really heavily, but it became a serious issue in my heart and my mind and my life. It was really just pointing me towards the truth towards my unhappiness, because I did not enjoy the drug. I did not even get high from the drug. I experienced some really strange things or some really eye-opening things, but I didn't want to leave it alone because I was chasing pleasure. I wanted something, anything to make me feel good. Anyway, so at this point in my life, I was struggling with that, and I was on my way back to work one evening after I'd been working, and I was on my way back to work some more, and I got pulled over. And I had a pistol. The pistol was just for protection. I had a permit, but the permit expired. I had my my card and everything, but it expired like a week before this when I was getting pulled over. And then like that same year, that law got changed or whatever, where you don't even have to have a permit, but I still got the charge for the carrying a pistol concealed without a permit, and paraphernalia for what my drugs were in that I ate. And I panicked in the moment that I got pulled over, because this is how deep my fear and that wound is about jail and my freedom. I don't know exactly what would have happened, but what I did know, in that flash of a moment, all I could think about was all of those times that I sat in jail, lonely and wanting to die. And so I just chose death in that moment. Just didn't want to do it anymore. I immediately was like, I knew I was going to die either way. I accepted that, but I didn't die. This is one of those times when somehow or another, here I am. And that I spent several days in the hospital, not being in my body. And after this experience, everything changed in my life. Eventually, I ended up getting a divorce after my spiritual awakening in 2023. After it really started to kick off, and I started to understand the messages that I was getting through my meditations and things, and I started choosing myself and my heart and what I was hearing over church and the people around me. And so all that stuff got put on the back burner and forgotten about. And I was homeless away from here. I was homeless here. And I went through all these different things. And I finally just got that all taken care of today. I went to court for it. And I've got to do 5 days in jail. And I'm like, okay, I got to deal this with a new mindset. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to love people. I'm going to be me, do my thing. No big deal. I got to choose what 5 days I'm doing. I'm not going to say what days those are, because I don't want anybody to know my business like that. Guys, if you're interested in hearing any more about me and my story, how this vessel experienced Earth from birth, give me if you're watching on TikTok, give me a follow. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. And let's talk about the real ass fucking life of a starseed. I'll teach you guys who I am from the inside out, so that you can learn from my experiences, because they were deep and I learned a lot from a very young age. My name is Sebastian Green. And in another life, I helped to create the Homo sapien species, and I also helped to awaken them to who they really were. And that's what I'm doing again now in this incarnation, just by being me and going through the awakening process with you again because I have done this many, many times in many, many universes.